Hey there, everybody. This is Michael McEvely, and I am making this video because I've been getting so many really sweet, just amazing texts and calls, and people stopping by my house and just being just awesome, checking up on me. And so many people are wondering like how I'm doing, and I wanted to wait a while because with brain stuff, I don't know enough about it to warrant like, okay, how much time is a good amount of time. So what I was told was I got 2 weeks after my surgery to just relax, and so that's kind of what I've been doing. And by the grace of God and my wife and my kids and my family, just being there. But I'm gonna make this video. I'm gonna try and keep it brief, just because the first block is just going to be about gratitude. I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been there for me and my family. The second block, I want to talk really quickly about my surgery and what happened and how things have been since then. And then the last thing I want to talk about is what the future looks like, from my understanding of my own, basic understanding of my brain tumor and how things have been. So let me just start and say that there's so many people I haven't talked to in forever, in 20 years, in 30 years. And um, there are people that I knew in California. There are people I knew in Idaho. There's people that I knew on the East Coast that are my family. And I just want to say to everybody, like the deepest, most real thank you just for how you've supported my family and how you've supported my kids and my wife and just my soul, my spirit. I'm a person who, if you're watching this, like my heart is completely devoted and in love with the Lord Jesus Christ. Like that's just something that has come about in the that I have no shame or worry about. And if you don't believe that way, that's totally okay too. Just know that like I love you, He loves you, and so that's the way I'm going to speak, and I hope that that's okay with you, because if I didn't have him, I don't know where I would be, and if I didn't have support of people like you, it would be really really hard for me to imagine where I would be as well. So this is just the part where I say thank you for the meals that have come, the GoFundMe money that people have donated. That's so far beyond what I ever thought we would get. And there are moments in your life, I can just tell you this, where you wonder like what you mean to people, and you wonder what kind of impact you've had on them. And then God just throws you in the middle of a lake and you see the ripples and you see how it spans out, and you see that there are so many people that you just thought, oh man, I would never imagine them like donating to a GoFundMe for me, and there they are. And so it's very humbling and it's very beautiful. And I know that sometimes we get lost in like what's going on in social media and all that stuff. And you can tell like I'm not really big on social media at all. But this just makes my heart and my soul so bright and alive. So if this is where you check out, just know that I'm so grateful and so thankful, and just blessings to you and your family. So, okay, block number two. So I haven't shown any of my scarring or anything. You can see there's a little bit. I'm not gonna show anything close. It doesn't look bad, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm blown away at how it is. It's again such a blessing, and just to give everybody, I'll try and give a quick background. I've had a tumor that I've known about for 8 years. I found it on Christmas night, and I've been living with it for 7.5 years. I moved to Idaho. I'm out in Tennessee. I've been out in Tennessee for 3 years now, and I've had a number of different neurologists. Basically, every year I go and get an MRI, and they check it, and they say, okay, everything looks pretty good. And so for 7.5 years, just about, I wasn't having problems. I was taking seizure medication, and I was living in a really normal life. Like just I could do things. I had a job. I could drive. Things weren't bad. But we did know I have a glioma. That was my tumor. That at some point, gliomas are one of those tumors that they just never disappear unless the Lord does some miracle, which I firmly believe He's going to at some point. But they never disappear. They grow back. That's what they do. That's their job. And So for 7.5 years, like I said, very grateful that I didn't have to deal with that. And then I started having seizures, and I went to uh, some doctors, and I went and saw a doctor who basically kind of had written me off as like, this is the end for you, man. You got 2 to 5 years to live, and then that's the end for you. But he's someone who was at the tail end of his career, and so I wrote to my neurologist and said, "Hey, why is this guy telling me it's the end? Like, I don't understand." And he said, "Well, that doesn't make any sense. And I've been looking at your MRI, so let's get you to a neuro-oncologist who is someone who studies tumors, right?" So he looked at my original tumor, like when it was first formed, and it was the size of a lime. And then he looked at it now, and he was like, "Hey, you know, I think it's time we do something about this. I think it's getting big enough in your head, and it's causing you seizures, and it's changing your life. And I think we've got to get it out. And what do you think about that?" And so my wife and I were like, "Yeah." And they sent me to a neurosurgeon at Vanderbilt Hospital in Nashville here. And the first neurosurgeon, we sat around for 2 hours, which is weird. The medical care out here, for the most part, besides the old doctor that we ran into, has been great. And at Vanderbilt, it's unbelievable. These people are just awesome. And so they sent in a surgeon first who said, "Hey, listen, I've looked at your tumor, and there's nobody in the world that I would want to cut out my tumor if I was in your position than this other doctor, Dr. Maroney. So I'm gonna have you wait a little bit longer because he's gonna be worth it. He's gonna be your guy." And so he came in, and this guy is just, we just knew right away, like, the Lord brought this guy into our life. And thank God he did. Just absolutely thank God he did, because he's had a plan since the beginning. He knew what he wanted to do since the beginning. My glioma's in the front left part of my brain, and so it was the part where I retain my speech from. So the fact that I'm talking right now, like less than 2 weeks out of my surgery, is amazing. It's because of God and because of this man. And so what a blessing, what an absolute blessing. And so um, I had to go through a number of different, like, procedures, MRIs, just to see, is my speech inside my tumor? Because if it is, then what they're going to cut out. There was a point where they were talking very seriously about waking me up in the middle of my surgery so that they could cut out pieces of my brain while I was um, under anesthesia. And luckily, from my MRIs that I took, they figured out and mapped out that the pieces of my brain that are still allowing me to talk at this point were outside of my tumor. So I got to have a 6-hour surgery without being woken up, and so that was a blessing. The other part of it is I've never been put under before. I'd never had surgery before, so I was worried about it. I didn't know what it was going to be like. Like, if I had no hair right now, I wouldn't be shocked. Like, if they had shaved my head off, I would have been like, "Oh, okay, cool." And they asked me, like, "What questions do you have?" So I asked a bunch of different questions, but I just never, a lot of what I'm understanding about, like, um, having your brain operated on, is it's a lot of it is just seems like guesswork. Like, we're going to do this, and then we're going to see what happens. And hopefully, uh, so coming out of my surgery, it was a lot of like, we're gonna see what happens. So with that, like, I think there comes a point in your life where you're starting to really grasp your mortality, and take it a lot more seriously. And I've always grasped that to an extent. And like I said, my heart is completely with the Lord Jesus. But there's this passage in Romans that appeals to me a lot when it came to this, and it's about being a living sacrifice. That I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. Right? And so with that, it was one of those things where I you hear all the time about like, okay, well, if you go and you believe in Christ, like you have to just sacrifice, you have to just give up everything. And I think a lot of times people hold on to something, and this was just a situation in which there's nothing I could take into that surgery room with that doctor, with the Lord, that I had any control over. And so going in, I was literally put on the table. I was out in 5 minutes, and then I came out of my surgery, and the first thing that happened was I saw Caitlin, and I said, "There's my wife. There's my beautiful wife." And before going in, you don't know that you can do that. That I there was no chance that I knew I would be able to do that. And Caitlin was very afraid of that too, and rightly so. And everyone was afraid of that. And the other part of my tumor, it controls like the right side of my body, right? So um, there's a chance that maybe there was going to be times where my arm, sorry, I got bruises, that my hands wouldn't work or my arm wouldn't work, or there's so many things that could have been really hard uh, and devastating coming right out of this. And God spared me, and he just spared me, and he gave me nurses that cared about me in that hospital. And everybody kept saying, "Are you sure you don't want pain medication? Like, what's going on? Like, why are you not?" And um like, it doesn't make sense that you're not hurting more, or that things aren't worse, or that kind of thing. And it just does. It just does. When you got the Lord on your side, and like, you've been praying for weeks and weeks and months, and you got the Lord on your side, there is no emotion that is bigger than joy of the Lord. There is no emotion that will be bigger than the joy of the Lord. Not fear, not sadness, not any of those things. I just knew he was going to take care of me in that surgery, and he did. And he did, because he's a good and faithful God. And so that's what happened. And then at the same time, uh the doctors that were coming to see me at that point were like, "You're healing so fast. This is weird. Like, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it does make sense, but it doesn't." And they sent me home a day and a half early, you know. And there was a guy who was right next to me, um, who I'm still praying for, named Noah, who him and his wife were there, and he had a tumor in the same spot, and he had problem talking, and he had problems with the medication they were giving him. And he, it's like I said, I think it's just, in some ways, it was just a guessing game. And so, um, the long and short of it is, God spared me so much. My surgeon did such an amazing job. The people at Vanderbilt Health in Nashville are top of the line, amazing people. And what I'm looking at right now at this point, like I said, is also some more just merciful, pleasant news, which was when they went in, what they had circled as my tumor, when they had went in, uh, they had a kind of a detail of what they were going to cut out. And when I saw my surgeon last, he came to me and he said, "Hey, listen, I'm just going to be honest with you. We got in and we started to move up, and so much of what we wanted to cut out at the upper part of your brain was way more brain matter than it was any tumor. And it was edema, which is um, like a swollenness, right?" And he's like, "So we only cut out about half of what we said we were going to cut out." Um, and so now that's what we did, and you're in such great shape, and we're so happy that we get to send you home early. So that currently, as of today, is where I'm at. Is, you can see, I can talk. um, I haven't had any seizures. I haven't had to build up to any seizures. I've been able to move around. My wife and my mom and the people who've come over have been really helpful, but in trying to help me move around and everything. But I can move on my own. I can go up and down stairs. Um, it's been incredible. It's been nothing but incredible. So that's where I'm at today. So what does that leave for the future? What's step number two. So on the 22nd, so first, my surgeon canceled my appointments, my follow up appointments. They did internal sutures that are going to dissolve, and he's like, I don't need to see you, basically, from what I got. I don't know how to take that other than like, okay, that's great. Cool. You did your job. Bless you. Thank you. Be well, sir. Uh, and then, but I am going to, on the 22nd of October, I'm going to go see my neuro-oncologist again, who's like my ride or die buddy now with how we're going to, fight the rest of this tumor that's in me. And there's, from what I understand, there's just a number of different ways that this goes. And all of it revolves around what they test. So they're going to test my tumor. And um, since I've had it for 8 years, everything that I know from my surgeons to my neuro-oncologist to all the neurologists I've had says that my tumor is a slow growing glioma, which is good. It means that it has just very teeny tiny little moves every year that until I start having seizures, like it allows me to live, right? Um, so they want to get the last 20% out of there, and we're going to figure out how to do that. So there's a number of different ways. There's some medication that's possible. There is radiation, which is possible. And then if there's anything that says it's cancerous, then it would be radiation and chemo and possible medication. But there's nothing, again, there's nothing that anybody has said as far as like cancer goes that says, hey, this is what we're seeing, and that's why it's time. I think it was in there long enough and it grew long enough that they were ready to take it out. And then, so what do I need in that regard? I know, like I said, before, that I've been so grateful to everybody, and I've just been praying and am so grateful. But anything that you can do to keep me in your prayers, to keep me at the forefront of this going away. I really genuinely believe that the radiation is going to take it away, and that I'm going to have no more tumor. I believe it. I believe that the Lord's going to do that for me. And if you're a believer and that's great and you can do that, that's great. But any good thoughts, any things that you have to send my way, my neurosurgeon said that he feels like 10 plus years is on the table for me, which I mean, I can't tell you what that means. It's every day is a gift. It's just so different now that this is done, that this surgery is done. And I do know that I've never had radiation. I don't know what that's going to be like. I never had all these things that are going to be ahead, but I do know this. I do know that I have, again, the joy of the Lord in my heart. I've got a faithfulness. I've got friends and family who are here for me. I've got a wife who is just, I mean, she's not in this video strictly because she's just been, I mean, every day, she's just been nonstop. What do you need? How can I help? What can I do to bring joy in your life? Like, that's how she's been. And there for my kids and my in-laws and everybody. So, yeah, I feel like I'm getting on a tangent. So I'm just going to wrap it up and say, please keep me in your prayers. If you ever have any questions about like what's going on with me, please don't even for a second hesitate to try and get my number or get my email or anything. Like, I would love to talk to you about it. I would love to just, find out what's going on in your life or how I can help you. I know I'm in a place of healing, but I won't always be. And there's so much joy, so much goodness I have in my life. Before this was going on, I was doing improv at church. I got so many friends that I made there that are just like the best, wonderful, wonderful people. And there's so much to be, again, grateful for. So please keep me in your thoughts and prayers, and please especially pray for my wife and my kids and my in-laws and my family who have been just the best. And again, last, I just want to say thank you to you, and thank you to the Lord for every single thing that's been showered upon me. And so, yeah, if you have any questions, if you have anything, please shoot me a text I have no problem talking to people. And God bless you. Blessings to your family, and nothing but love to you. And yeah, have a great day.